Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz here, Rick Strom, producing the program. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing well. Ben. How you doing?
I'm fine. Joining us from Sports Illustrated and CBS Sports, Seth Davis. Seth, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, guys. How you guys doing?
We are good. Seth, we have a couple of connections, which I guess you are not aware of. In 1976, in Montgomery County, Maryland.
Yeah, I heard the name Mankiewicz. I thought that might be what you were referring to.
That's right. Your father sought the Democratic nomination for Congress, and he edged out my father in a five-person race. So Lanny Davis beat Frank Mankiewicz. Few people have nailed a prediction about a championship game, or I think any sporting event, more than you did regarding the Connecticut-Butler game. You pointed out that the Final Four games were not well played, that the four teams shot 31.3% on threes. And then you asked who is ready to win ugly. And you said if you're expecting a finesse, efficient, balletic, a word I did not know existed, basketball game, don't bother tuning in. And man, were you right.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it did not make for very good television. I mean, I certainly expected that kind of game. I can't say that I expected it to be quite that bad, particularly from Butler's standpoint. And I don't know if it was, there's some chatter that maybe the atmospherics of a dome with the different backdrops and the elevated floor may have thrown everybody off, because across the three games, the level of shooting was quite low. But whatever it was, I mean, Butler just absolutely couldn't make anything.
Worst championship game ever?
If you measure by shooting percentages, for sure. It was definitely bad. It was definitely ugly. And as fans, we'd like to see the shots go in.
Any chance they stop playing these Final Four games in incredibly large domes? Any chance we could just move them to incredibly big basketball arenas?
The more fannies they can put in the seats, the more money they can make, and that genie's so far out of the bottle. And the shooting hasn't been that bad across the board for all of the 14 or 15 games that have taken place since then. Now, there is a new setup. This is the third year that they've used this new setup where they put the court right smack in the middle of the arena. What they've done in the past, Ben, is bring in a grandstand where you're basically cornering off, maybe a third of the dome. But, it's just gotten to a point now. I mean, you've got 70,000 plus inside of a football stadium. I mean, it's an incredible spectacle.
Hey, Seth, we talked about Brad Stevens, and you mentioned in your column he's very intelligent, he's very mature. Do you think that he will stay at Butler and honor his contract till 2021, 2022 season and build a powerhouse at Butler, or do you think he'll depart for the next best thing?
There's a very real possibility, Ricky, that Brad Stevens could retire as the head coach of Butler. I mean, I don't see why not. I don't know what job is out there that's better than the one that he has. Now, you want to tell me Duke, you want to tell me North Carolina, Kansas. I mean, Indiana is kind of the obvious one. It's right there. He's from the state, grew up in Zionsville, went to DePaul University, met his wife at DePaul. Loves being in Indiana. Obviously, the last 2 years, based on what they've done, he's had options to be able to go elsewhere. Could he make, $2 million as opposed to $1 million a year? But what is he giving up to do that? I mean, I think the one thing that he really appreciates is, number one, the purpose of being a coach is to get your team into the NCAA tournament. So you have to ask, like if you're Mark Few at Gonzaga, he always says this. I mean, he's got a great chance to go to the NCAA tournament every single year, and you don't just give that up. And then I think the other thing is he's got great job security.
If the average fan were able to see into the recruiting process, how grossed out would they be?
Extremely. You need a hot shower. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It gets worse every year. I kind of feel like one of those old fuddy-duddies when I talk like this, but it's true. I mean, I've been covering the sport now for 20 years. It gets worse every year, and the reason is because of agents. I mean, agents are to college basketball what steroids are to baseball. They're everywhere. They're a cancer. They're corrupting.
Does the presence of these agents and the runners for the agents, does it corrupt otherwise good coaches and less corrupt coaches?
It's really not even about the coaches anymore. I mean, these coaches are basically just conduits now. I mean, the whole dynamic is forged around the idea of delivering a player to an agent. It's kind of like, I mean, to me, the classic recent example is the O.J. Mayo case.
Seth, let's transition into something a little lighter and easier on the ears here. Charles Barkley Kenny Smith. What was it like working with those two?
I loved it. I really loved it, and not just working with them, by the way, but just being around them and talking basketball with them and life. And I thought those guys did a great job.
Is UCLA still a top 10 program?
Yeah, they may not be a top 10 team, but I still think they're certainly an elite program. Absolutely.
Seth Davis, great talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seth.
Seth and Ricky, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right.